YouTube and morning analysis team, guys. It's a new day, Tuesday, 26th of April. Sorry, don't know where that February came from. So, gonna look at GU. Gonna start off from the daily time frame. We'll work our way down, and we'll look at potential setups and analysis for today. I think it's very clear to see that we are bearish. We have some bearish candles, but that doesn't mean we can't have a pullback and we can't find trades if the lower time frame structure and order flow shifts and give us that potential trades towards the upside. So we're going to pay attention and have a look at what's happening, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so let's have a look. So I have this line marked over here. It's basically just the previous low over here, and we can take those wicks as a zone. On the lower time frames, there will often be a order block or a supply and demand area. And you can see this wick towards the downside swept the liquidity below that previous low as well. So that makes it for me a significant level. So this whole zone for me is then a significant level where you can expect a reaction. Doesn't mean it's going to react off of it, but you can expect a potential reaction. It's not necessarily going to make a reversal or catalyst a reversal, but it's going to most probably give a reaction where you can potentially catch a trade from. So we can see price tapped into that area yesterday, and then we had the bullish reaction off of it. And I'm going to share now a few things on the lower time frames that I wanted to see break before potentially looking for long trades. So now we have already a bit of a framework for our daily outlook. We can see clearly that this is currently the range that we are trading within, this being the high. This being the high, and this then the low. Why do I say that specific high and low? Primarily just because on the daily it's clear that this was the pullback and then the push towards the downside that broke all of this significant structure towards the downside. So for me, that is the most relevant range that we're trading within. And we can see by looking at this range that we're currently deep in this discount area of pricing. And we know that we could potentially expect price to make then a pullback back towards the upside. So potentially maybe looking for something like this for us to see price move back towards the upside. Not necessarily all the way back, because obviously we can anticipate this area, but I feel this area is way too obvious. I think if we reach this area, we might just break through it and kind of maybe create like this V-shape thing. So it depends on what happens on the lower time frame and how aggressive price returns back towards the upside. So I believe longs is due until we at least reach the 50% area. From there on, obviously we can look for different scenarios, potential sells. So on the 1 hour, there's a few key highs that I need to, I'm just going to put this on the left hand side just so that we don't doesn't look too messy. So there were a few highs that needs to be broken to confirm bullishness. The first 1 hour one is this one. We need to break above it, break above this high, and then this one, but this is still some distance away. So I need to see price break above these highs. So it's already starting to break above, so we could potentially base a trade off of price action in a long direction currently with what we have, if we can identify a clean push towards the downside to sweep the sell side liquidity and then go higher. So in this case, I'll be looking for something in the line of this, where this is our most recent liquidity low. If we can maybe have a sweep of that low into this candle over here, we will get a clearer picture once we look at the 15-minute time frame. So what we have marked here, this is also was a significant high that we needed to break, just because that was the last point that broke structure towards the downside, and now we're trading above it. So if this was the last lower high, lower low. We broke that lower high. Now we made a higher high. Potentially looking now for price to create a new higher low somewhere over here. If we can then see a new higher low form and see price continuing towards the upside. So that's currently how I'm framing the 15 minutes as well. Looking at this low for potential sweep and then perhaps into this wick, something like this. That's currently the objective of trade idea that I'm looking at, if we can see something like that. So we'll align this obviously with Frankfurt Open and then an hour later at London Open as well. So just be mindful of those times. I'm going to place them all just to have the charts clean. So I'm going to look at this from Frankfurt Open onwards to see if we can get a decent pullback into this area and then look for a possible trade opportunity in this area. We can then obviously be targeting this high. This then becomes the buy side liquidity, which would then be the objective in this case. So currently on our 50 minute and lower time frame, this is currently the trading range that we're in. And we're looking for liquidity and reaction points below the 50% inside this range. So this does look like a promising area where price can potentially react off of. Let's have a quick look at the 5 minutes. And I'll show you the 1 minute. Let's see what's happening in this area. So how I'm reading the 5 minute is that we had this pullback with a reaction off of this area, created a lower high. Then we started trading towards the downside. We had a push below the liquidity, below this low, which is obviously then just the sell side liquidity, and then an immediate reaction towards the upside. So that tells me there's something happening in here. So first of all, this candle does become significant, primarily for the fact that there was a large displacement of price happening in this area. We had a push towards the downside, and then price sharply moved back towards the upside after. So something happened in here. So when something happens in an area, it's most likely the price is going to come back towards that area at some point in time. So I'm going to keep this area here, not necessarily because I'm thinking we're going to immediately today just drop all the way towards this area, but if price does come into this area, then I'm going to be interested. So I'll be setting an alert here just to know that, okay, potentially price could come back towards this area and give us a possible entry. Now, if we look at current price action, yes, we have this low as well. Nothing in here really resonates with me or jumps out. So I would most likely be interested either in, well, we could also identify this as well. So now you can go around, you can create all of these POIs and you can just confuse yourself. And like you're asking yourself, but which is the right one? Which one should I trade off of? Keep it simple. Like I said, the highest probability ones are the ones that are in the discounted pricing. So we have our range from low to high, and we're primarily looking for price action in this bluish area for POIs or zones or whatever you want to call them in this area before we take the long towards the upside. Now I'm just going to quickly jump to the lower time frames just to get a sense of what's happening in this area. The reason why I like this area so much is because it did a grab on liquidity real impulsively and then impulsively back up. So this was a pure manipulation hunt towards the downside. Grabbed the liquidity, pushed into this 1 minute order block over here, which also grabbed liquidity over there. Do you see the chain reaction? Yeah, it's actually very nice. So this becomes for me a strong area for price to react off of. Will it drop all the way towards this area? I don't know. It's scary to think that price is going to drop 30 pips and then just tap and then run towards the upside. But it has happened before. So in this case, I would either take a lower risk aggressive entry at this area. If I get stopped out, I'll be looking at this area. Alternatively, you would want to see price drop into this area, then first create some structure, break that structure, come back for an entry, and then take the trade towards the upside. So in general, that is then currently how I'm framing this. I'm just going to look at the 1 minute, just what's happening in this area. I haven't yet looked at it, so I just want to pay attention to it. You see, this is that V-shaped recovery where price just drops and then pulls back ultimately towards the upside, taking out all the buy orders that were below these lows and specifically this low as well. Same thing happened here. Drop, grab the liquidity below this low as well as this low, which makes it really significant, and then impulsively moves towards the upside. So this zone does really hold well together. So if price can potentially return to this one as well. So now just pay attention to this. This also becomes a liquidity low. So I'm going to just mark this as liquidity. So I do expect that price could potentially violate this area and then drop into this one. So we see the reaction over there, but it created this created a new zone with this grab on liquidity. So I'm just going to mark it like that. I'm going to keep this wick in mind, keeping that in mind, and then potentially, so let's just jump a few time frames up, the 3 minute. So that area does look very promising for buys. So be keen on seeing price action develop or reach for that area. So currently we're seeing price starting to drop. So currently this is the expectation to see this happening, primarily because we broke above this area. Now the flip side is true as well. We are bearish, so this would be a high risk trade to take the longs. We could be just taking the shorts. So let's have a look, just a quick look at what is the shorting opportunities in this scenario. So we're seeing some sort of range in this area where the price kind of almost reacted off of. So if we just have a look at the 5 minute, there's nothing really in this area. Price is basically just filling some of the imbalance that was left in this area, but it is breaking structure towards the upside. This was a key pivotal point that price reacted off of. You can probably hear the dogs. They are quite entertaining. So we see price reacting off of this area, and then now we have traded above it, invalidating this area of, let's call it supply for completeness sake. Now we're moving towards the downside. So if we're reacting off of the supply, we obviously want to see a shift in the order flow towards the sell side. We're seeing price break the structure below. Obviously we would want to see price come back to an area of interest, but not seeing anything clear. We have the zone over there, but it's quite balanced. There's no reason for inefficiency for price to return towards this area. So usually inefficiency would be the higher reason for return to an area, in my opinion, because price will always try to be efficient and rebalance itself. So if there's an area of inefficiency, it gives more credit towards that order block, So currently I'm not seeing very valid short opportunities, although we did have a really nice sweep above these highs and then an immediate reaction, and price already, you can see, came to this candle, mitigated it and started dropping towards the downside. Potentially if price comes back up again, we could maybe see a reaction in this area and then a further drop. That's to say if price starts coming back now, but currently it looks like we're just making our way down. So it would really nice to see price react off of one of these areas, but I know obviously it could also react off of one of these areas. That's the beauty of it. If price reacts off of these areas and we can see price tapping into it and showing clear intent to go higher, we just wait to get in on a confirmation entry. So it's not that big of a deal if you miss the one that you originally thought. Just pay attention to what is then actually happening and what is the current order flow. That's why I have you follow the current order flow, what is currently visible to you and being portrayed to you. So that's my 2 cents regarding the current price action. Primarily, I would be looking for longs just because of where we're reacting off of on the daily. So I have, let's set that alert here. So that is then currently the idea for today. Guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth view on GU and the current price action for today, the 26th of April. Have a nice day. Cheers.